Proto-Indo-European root H2ENH1 to breathe, blow is foundational to words that link breath with life and consciousness. To Proto-Indo-European speaking cultures, breath was metaphorically and literally tied to the essence of life. Breath is universally associated with the soul or life force, suggesting early metaphysical ideas among Proto-Indo-European speakers. The cessation of breath symbolizes death, with this root influencing later words for spirit or ghost in descendant language or languages. This semantic field suggests that H2ENH1 served as more than a descriptor of a physical action. It was integral to understanding existence and vitality. Early Proto-Indo-European speakers likely observed the tangible force of wind as a parallel to the intangible breath, connecting the two in their linguistic framework. Wind and air movement, critical for agriculture and survival, may have led to specialized derivatives of H2ENH1, which that is actually pronounced a certain way, but I cannot do it, for specific weather patterns. Now, the wind-air movements, wind and air movements critical for agriculture and survival may have led to specialized derivatives of H2ENH1 for specific weather patterns. The root's use in words for air-related phenomena suggests it was central to Proto-Indo-European speakers' relationship with their environment. The metaphoric use of H2ENH1 expanded into abstract concepts. Breath was linked to ideas of divine inspiration, as seen in later Indo-European mythologies. The act of speaking, reliant on breath, was semantically tied to H2ENH1, influencing words for speech or language in descendant languages. Proto-Indo-European roots often generated a family of related words through affixation and compounding. H2ENH1 likely spawned derivatives describing qualities like airy or light, representing specific winds or breath-like phenomena, extending the meaning to actions like exhaling, inhaling, or blowing forcefully. Giving the symbolic weight of breath, H2ENH1 might have had ritualistic or spiritual connotations among Proto-Indo-European speakers. Breathing patterns could have been synchronized with chants or prayers connecting physical breath to the divine. Wind phenomena may have been seen as manifestations of divine forces, with H2ENH1 forming the linguistic basics of such beliefs. These cultural practices might have left subtle traces in descendant Indo-European mythologies and languages. In different branches of the Indo-European language family, reflexes of H2ENH1 exhibit fascinating variations. Words for wind often incorporate the nasal element N, but shift the vowel quality due to the phonological rules. Reflexes retain a closer semantic link to breath and soul. Innovations might focus on a metaphor of air and invisibility. The diversity of these reflexes underscores the root's flexibility and the varying priorities of Proto-Indo-European descendant cultures. Breathing techniques or wind exposure may have been part of early medical traditions. Breath control was essential for storytelling and oral transmission of knowledge, linking H2ENH1 to cultural continuity. This broader social relevance further illuminates the root's impact. Linguistic identity, no. Linguistics identify a shared root for words with similar meanings across related languages. For Anomoi, the root is traced to a Proto-Indo-European root, H2ENH1, meaning to breathe or to blow. By comparing related terms in different languages, linguistics observes consistent sound changes. For example, initial sounds, vowels, or consonants may shift predictably due to the phonetic environment. The nasal sound "n" is preserved in related terms, suggesting continuity. The term anomoi reflects the addition of a pluralized or nominal suffix. In Indo-European languages, suffixes often transform verb roots to blow into nouns, wind. The core part of the word ane, A-N-E, from H2E and H1 remains intact, indicating that the meaning breath or wind was carried forward while the word adapted to grammatical needs. The original root likely described the act of breathing or blowing, which expanded to encompass the concept of wind as a natural force. The idea of wind as a life-giving or destructive force aligns with the broader cultural associations, allowing the word to take on mythological or symbolical meanings in different languages. Linguistics identify cognates, words in different languages with a common origin, to establish patterns. The term anomoi shares similarities with other words for wind or breath in Indo-European languages, confirming its derivation from the same root. By analyzing consistent sound shifts, changes of vowels, or the preservation of nasal sounds, linguistics reconstructs the probable original form of the word. The prominence of wind in ancient agriculture or seafaring societies likely reinforced its importance in language and mythology. Words for natural elements like wind often gain symbolic meaning, such as representing freedom, life, or divine power, reflecting shared cultural perspectives. Now, I was really surprised by that. I was able to make it through that with no problem. So I may be able to go farther with this than just Deus or Dius. Now, the Proto-Indo-European word Dayus, D-Y-E-U-S, is a significant term in the study of Indo-European linguistics. As it provides insight into the root of ancient mythologies and linguistic developments across multiple branches of the Indo-European family. I'll explain the meaning of dais using linguistic methods focusing on its form, its semantic field, and its evolution into various Indo-European languages. The word daios is typically reconstructed in Proto-Indo-European as Dayu, which is D-Y-E-U, a root that is often associated with the concept of the sky or daylight. The root Dayu has been hypothesized to denote a bright celestial or heavenly realm, linking it to the idea of the daylight sky and its association with divinity and supreme power. The Proto-Indo-European root Dayu itself is related to a number of cognates across different Indo-European languages that signify a bright, high, or divine concept, further linking the root to the imaginary of the sky, or to the imagery of the sky and the sun. This root is central to the formation of terms related to the celestial and divine across many Indo-European cultures. In the context of Proto-Indo-European, Dayus, D-Y-E-U-S, referred to the sky or the celestial realms. Over time, this term took on an additional connotation of a god or a divine figure, especially in relation to the sky. The Proto-Indo-European root Dayu, D-Y-E-U, thus embodies the early Indo-European concept of a sky deity, a powerful overarching figure that governs or oversees the world from above. In this semantic field, Dayus is directly linked to several linguistic and mythological traditions. In Proto-Indo-European mythology, the sky deity was often envisioned as the highest god, a central figure in the pantheon who ruled over the heavens and often had dominion over the earth and the forces of nature.